Hey friends, thanks for joining this video. I've had a lot of questions come up about what does it mean when a yoga instructor says to lengthen through the crown of your head. So I'd like to kind of break that down and hopefully put it into terms that you can understand and incorporate into your yoga practice, because it's actually really important for us to do before we start twisting or bending or just moving at all, really. So lengthening through the crown of your head really means to straighten out the spine and to find a nice neutral position for our bones. So if you think about how we stand or sit in our everyday lives, we're usually playing on our cell phones or sitting at a computer desk, and very rarely are we pulling the shoulders back or squeezing the shoulder blades together and finding that nice broad line across the collarbone and finding this shortening of the shoulder blades and opening up of the shoulders. So to lengthen the crown of your head towards the ceiling, we just want to think about breathing space in between each vertebra and lifting up tall, kind of like when you were a child, or even when we do it now, when we're getting measured to see how tall we are. We want to grow a little bit more and say, oh, I'm 5'7" instead of 5'6.5". I don't know if that's important to you, but it always was to me. I always wanted to be taller. So in order to do that, I'll show you through a mountain pose, and I'll kind of take a traditional stance and then grow from the feet up and lengthen through the crown of my head. So from mountain pose, we're going to press the four corners of our feet down into the ground and squeeze right above our knees in our quads. And then from here, instead of having an arch in my low back, I'm going to pull my tailbone down towards my heels. Another way to think of that, if it's easier for you, is to bring your pointer fingers to your hips and then your thumbs to your ribs, the very lowest part of your ribs, and kind of just play around with moving forward and back. So when you pull your hip points up towards your ribs, you're shortening the distance in between your hips and your ribs, and you are lengthening your tailbone down towards your heels. So by doing that, we're strengthening the core and engaging the core so that we're building a nice strong foundation for us to stand. So find the four corners of your feet rooted down into the ground, squeezing the quads, lifting the hip points up towards the low ribs, lengthening the tailbone down towards the heels, pulling the belly button in towards your spine, pulling the shoulders back, squeezing the shoulder blades slightly, and then tucking the chin just slightly so that our neck gets nice and long and our spine gets nice and long all the way through the crown of our head. So as you can see, taking it from a neutral, kind of just plain standing pose, to lengthening through the crown of my head in mountain pose, I am now finding a nice neutral spine position, a nice straight spine, and my joints are now stacked properly so that my muscles can now function correctly. So if you think about it, it's important for us to lengthen and to find space in between each of our vertebrae when we're doing any kind of yoga postures. So bending side to side, forward and back, twisting, opening. Because if you think about compressing the bones of the spine, there's some spinal fluid and some cartilage in between each of our vertebrae. And if we're always kind of in this standing position or this sitting position and crunching those bones and the cartilage and the spinal fluid together, we're not really helping ourselves mechanically move. And after a while, that spinal fluid gets less and less, the cartilage gets less and less as we get older, and it starts to degenerate. So in order to help the overall health of our spine, we want to think about lengthening it and finding space in between each of it. So standing up nice and tall, having good posture so that we can freely move from there. We don't want to be crushing bone on bone at all when we're moving or twisting, because that's only going to cause problems over time. So we constantly want to be finding this length through our spine, this lift and this space. So I like to think of each inhale as a gift to give my vertebra. I don't know how much you know about me, but I came to yoga with a really serious back injury. I have degenerative disc disease, arthritis, and a herniated and torn disc. And for a while, I was basically paralyzed and immobile from the waist down. So yoga really has saved my life, and it's really important for me to share these kinds of things with you so that you can start to move freely and with a little bit more ease and less pain. So yeah, it's really important to find that length and to gift yourself on each inhale this space in between your vertebra so that you can move a little bit more freely. And yoga isn't challenging. Well, it's challenging, but yoga isn't painful for you. You might find some muscle soreness, but it's not creating more tension than it is alleviating it. So I hope this video has helped you a little bit. If you have any more questions, or if I can help clarify that or anything else a little bit more, please leave a comment, subscribe, send me a message, and I'd love to help you one-on-one or create a video, because I'm sure if you have the question, somebody else does as well. So please reach out to me. I am more than willing and happy to help. Yeah, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. There are more to come, and enjoy your yoga journey. Namaste.